Costco Kirkland Islay Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. Should this be on your radar? Stay tuned for the Whisky Whistle. What's up, my whiskey people? Mark Kaufman here for Whisky Whistle on YouTube, sharing a little whiskey awesomeness from South Korea. Here we are. It's been quite a while since my last review, and I thank you for your patience waiting for this. But let's get going. So we've got Kirkland from Costco. Recently, in the last couple of years anyway, they've put out this Islay Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. And as you can see, it's 50% ABV or 100 proof, which is quite nice. We're going to try it out. We'll talk about it, and we'll see if this is something that should be on your radar. Should this be in your whiskey collection? Is it worth getting? Let's check that out. First of all, I'll pour some, and then I want to talk about the interesting extra information we get here in Korea on the back of the label. And I guess I'll have to make another video as to why I'm here, living here again, and what that's going to mean for this channel and my family and etc. But maybe another video for that one. A live video I think is well in order for that. Okay, let's get this poured into my Seoul Whisky Whistle Glencairn glass. More are on the way. All right, so good 35 millimeter pour. So this is 50% ABV. There's no age statement. My nose is telling me that it's 8 years old or older, and I like what's going on with the aroma. But let's put that aside and give it a little, maybe 5 minutes or so, just to air out a little bit. We'll set it over here. All right, so I've got the Korean bottle here. You've got a lot of Korean information on the back of the bottle. I know that only some of you would be able to read that, so I'll just go through this with you. All right, so we've got the fact that it says Kirkland signature. In Korea, unfortunately, they misspell Islay as Islay. So Islay Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. And what is it? It's whiskey. What's the content? 750 milliliters, which is nice. Then we have something very interesting, which I'll point out, which is the ingredients. 원 재료명. And we have whiskey 99.99%, followed by caramel color, or caramel 색소 here in Korean language. And also something interesting that you won't find is the producer, which is listed here. And this says the 제조 회사, and that is Tullibardine Distillery. They don't have an Islay distillery, so they'll be sourcing that from somewhere. But they do have their own bottling facility, I believe, so then they'll just get that ordered. My bet is that this is from Kulila. That would be my guess. It's 50% ABV, but it actually has a slightly more approachable peat level than, say, an Ardbeg or a Lefroy, who have enough production to make other whiskeys for outsourced brands like this. So anyway, made by Tullibardine Distillery, using casks that they would have purchased from Kulila. And we've got 1 out of 1,000 content of caramel color. And whether or not that is scientifically proven, because they will test it in Korea, they'll actually test this to determine the content. So 1 out of 1,000, and we've got 750 milliliters. So that means there is 3/4 of 1 milliliter of caramel color added here. Is that a big deal? No, it isn't. Price-wise, this was 100,000 won here in Korea. I'm going to move this mic a little closer to my location. There we go. Sorry if that looks weird. That's the best I can do right now. So 100,000 won here in Korea. There are less expensive Islay malts. Most of those, however, are not 50% ABV. There's a couple of exceptions, which hopefully I'll get on the channel soon. So anyway, that's the information on the bottle there. I'll slide it over here so you can see that clearly. Let's get into the tasting. We're going to check out the nose, the palate, and the finish. And we'll also check that same process out with water added as well. I would like to check out the legs of the whiskey. Let me do that first. All right, so let's see those legs. Fairly brisk first legs. And I think all you can see are my thumbprints. Not overly viscous, but not especially thin also. Color, this is definitely a little bit darker than amber. And I would say that it should be very light in color. These most definitely will be refill American oak ex-bourbon barrels. They really should be pretty pale, like something not unlike the color of this furniture behind me. So you've got quite a bit of color added. Don't be deceived by that. So let's get into the nose here. Right away, you've got the peat coming through here, but it's quite mild. This is a very approachable peat. We've got wisps of some kind of an ashy smoke and kind of like roasted sweet potato, where you've got a bit of char on there. You get that little bit of a smoky essence coming. Slightly gunpowdery. There's a little bit of not cigar tobacco, but snuff tobacco kind of a scent, which is very, very prickly, a little bit peppery. So we've got some pepper, a little bit like Talisker pepper actually. And we've got some stewed apples. Very appley actually. But overly quite a mild peat, especially considering it's 50% ABV. Onto the palate. Cheers, folks. Konbae. The palate gives you a rush of lemon peel, orange peel, candied orange rinds, double smoked ham, that desserty roasted apple, a little bit of a lightly roasted almond in there. But citrus is pretty prominent here. We've got a nice long finish, as you'll often get with Islay whiskeys. But it's not the smoke that's really carrying through here. It's the roasted apple, that sweet citrus note, and that little bit of a peppery, ashy type of a peat that's carrying through here. So far, I'm enjoying it. The nose is a little bit anemic. The palate is certainly right about where you'd want it for a Kulila. And as I said, this is quite mild and approachable. So far, I'm liking it. I would like to try it with water, so let me do that. I've got my Whisky Source Islay water. This is mineral water from Scotland, from the Isle of Islay. Well suited for this glass. And I want to put in about 10 drops of water. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 drops. We've still got about 30 milliliters left there. We'll give that a minute to mix and meld together. So, as I often get with your typical Islay single malt Scotch whiskies that are peated, I'm getting a nice dark rye bread note coming through with a little bit of salted butter on it. I actually may need a little bit more here. But let's try the palate first, okay? Cheers. Kambe. Much more complex with water, to be honest. The nose is a little bit more inviting, still rather devoid of peat on the nose. I'm getting more of this nice bread, dark rye bread. That saltiness, like salted fresh creamery butter. That appley note. The pepperiness has subsided on the nose. Now let's check out the palate here. 15 drops of water, that's about 1 milliliter. Ramped up the citrus. And interestingly, the pepper, even though it's hiding on the nose now, it's really hitting my palate with water added. The finish is more peppery. It's more astringent. A little bit more potent. And actually, I'm feeling the proof more with water added than I did neat. When you try this neat, you might be inclined to believe that it's actually 43% and not 50%. Pardon me. A little bit of a menthol, eucalyptusy, cough lozenge type of note here as well. But there's no band-aids. There's no hospital Lafroig notes. I like it, but I think it's a bit overpriced here. $100. For example, I can get Talisker 10-year-old for about 75 or 80,000 won, which is about 78 or $82 Canadian. And the 100,000 won, I guess that's about what? About $73 US. So probably a premium over the price of this in USA. I'm guessing this is probably $49.99 in US currency. And that's about what it should be, in my opinion. Anyway, let me put this down. And let's get on to the Whisky Whistle whiskey score for Kirkland Signature from Costco. Their Islay single malt Scotch whiskey, 50% ABV, 100,000 won in Korea. What is that going to be, folks? It's going to be 84 out of 100. You heard it. 84 out of 100 is the Whisky Whistle whiskey score for Kirkland Signature Islay single malt Scotch whiskey from Costco. 100,000 won in Korea. You can do better than this. For the whiskey connoisseurs here, for the Islay whiskey lovers, you might want to skip that one and stick with Talisker 10 from the Isle of Skye, or Ardbeg 5-year-old you can get here for a little bit less than this. 10-year-old also about the same price. That would probably be my recommendation for you. But American currency, $50, well worth $50, especially with today's prices. I think that's pretty good. If it is 50, if it's $70, $80, again, you can probably make better choices. But I'm pretty sure that's going to be about $50 US. So anyway, what did I say? 84 points. What's next on the channel? I'll tell you what's next, and we will maybe just pour a quick drop. And since I'm down to one glass, I'm going to have to dump that one here. And I'll do a little bit of a blasphemous thing and rinse out my glass with this very expensive water. Okay, so we're going to stick with Islay, and now I've got from Berry Brothers and Rudd, which is not very well known in Korea. Berry Brothers and Rudd, if people aren't aware, became famous for producing this bottle, which is called Cutty Sark. They've since sold it to Edrington, who turned around and sold it to a French company, La Martiniquez, I think. So anyway, so we've got this blended malt Scotch whiskey, and this one is 44.2%. And let's pour a little bit of that. This one is 60,000 won here in Korea, which is a pretty good price for an Islay single malt, pardon me, an Islay malt whiskey. There we go. And this is the color that I'm talking about. This is natural in color. There's no color added here. And I'll just confirm that on the label here. Whiskey Wonek 100%. Whiskey original liquid 100%. So there we go. So that's the natural color that you should find from your typical Islay whiskeys that are matured in refill casks. But similarly mild on the palate. Probably a lot of Kulila in this as well, actually. It's richer and it's butterier. This may have some first fill American oak barrels involved. And it almost seems like you've got a mix of, say, Kulila and a little bit of Lagavulin, which would be almost impossible, but quite interesting. I'll get into that in the next video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in a few days, or possibly less, possibly more, but I'll see you very soon. And thanks again for your patience. Take care. Peace out.